9 weather alert from News 9 WAOW.
Well, thanks for joining us on this special live stream. Sadie Fisher here, joined by StormTrack 9 Chief Meteorologist Justin Loew.
Right. And this is something in the future you might see more of.
Yeah.
Because we know a lot of you are out there.
Oh, yeah.
You're on your iPad, on your phone, on the computer, and you like to stream the news throughout the day, and then in between our news shows, there's not too much going on, right? But when there's special things going on, news or weather, then we will be here on the stream, and we'll let you know ahead of time, too, so you can watch if you would like.
Yeah. We're talking weather today because right now, absolutely beautiful outside. Warm, sunny, feels like spring.
Yeah, that's right. It certainly feels like spring, but winter is on the way. And, you know, during the 11 o'clock show, you got some of the details, but here on the stream, I'm going to have a lot more about how everything's changing, a lot of the records that we might be breaking or not.
Because we might be breaking warmth today, but I know we're going to have a huge change in temperature. Is that going to break any sort of record?
You know, that's an interesting question, because you would think if we're going to drop over 50 degrees in like, 12 to 18 hours, that's a lot, right? But it's a very difficult record to track. Because it's not a normal thing that we track. And we'd have to look at, well, okay, here's some cold days where the temperature really dropped. Was it 50 degrees? Yeah, it'd be a difficult one to track down. But we'll see. We might, tomorrow, we'll see if we can find that data. But definitely going to be colder, though. Let's get into that weather now. And, of course, what did we see? Our Marshfield camera view here. Out there, it's hazy sun, I guess, and definitely warm out there. Don't look like winter, does it? We haven't had much snow on the ground this winter, that is for sure. And the temperature's already getting close to the record territory for this. In fact, 58 now in Wausau, and that breaks the old record for Wausau. Probably breaking the record in Stevens Point and Wisconsin Rapids, too. Wisconsin Dells at 65 at this hour. And those temperatures will continue rising for the next couple of hours through about 1, 2 o'clock. The wind is going to start to shift to the southwest. We'll start to see a few clouds later this afternoon, so it's not going to go too much higher. Yesterday, we had a high of 55. Today, 62, and that's 30 degrees above normal and breaking the record of 56 back in 1896. That's a long time ago. And 62, believe it or not, will be the first time, if we do hit 60, which looks very likely, the first time that we've hit 60 in February in Wausau, and most of the area, in fact. Another thing about the streaming show is we can talk a lot more about the almanac, how things are record-breaking today, and the record low was, hey, that was back in that very cold winter, if you remember 2013, 2014, not that long ago. We had a bitter cold winter, just the opposite of this winter, right? It was one of the coldest ever 10 years ago. And sunset tonight coming at 5:43, and by that time we're going to start to see more clouds in the area. Let's take a look at that temperature drop now. Through early afternoon, low 60s. And then as we get into late afternoon, you notice this colder air moving on in. And by 10 p.m., around 10, 11 o'clock, that's when the temperature is going to go below freezing. And that's when the trouble begins, because any snow or rain that falls this evening, it's going to freeze up. That's how fast the temperature is going to fall. Look at this. By tomorrow, 6 a.m., 13 degrees, even some single digits in the Northwoods, and through the day, it's going to stay in the teens, maybe reaching the low 20s, so definitely a colder day. What about the wind gusting? Well, later on tonight, 20, 30 miles per hour, and look at this, wind gust tomorrow morning, maybe at 8 a.m., 32 miles per hour in Wausau. That's our projection here. So you know the wind chill is going to be a factor, and through the day, look at this, even in the afternoon, wind gust up to 20, 25 miles per hour. So if you thought that, 20 degrees tomorrow afternoon with some sun, that doesn't sound too bad. Well, the wind chill is definitely going to be a factor. Let's take a look here at the wind chill forecast. Don't have to worry about that this afternoon, of course, but let's see. By the time we hit midnight tonight, the wind chill already dropping into the single digits. And then as we head into daybreak tomorrow morning, look at this, 8 a.m., 11 below zero wind chill in Wausau, 16 below zero in Phillips. So some wind chill readings that we really haven't felt much this winter. You might remember in the middle of January, we had that week to 10 days where it was cold, and we had 7 days in a row where the actual temperature was below zero. We had some wind chill advisories. Now, this isn't advisory criteria, but it certainly is cold, even in the afternoon. Look at this, 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Wind chills down near zero. So you definitely have to put on the gloves and the hat and a winter coat tomorrow, a couple of extra layers. What about the snow? Well, starting to look like a little bit less than what we were forecasting earlier this week. I still have trace to 2 inches here for much of central Wisconsin, but there'll probably be just a couple little spots or pockets where we get up to 2 inches in central Wisconsin. But most areas, I would estimate it's going to be less than an inch of snowfall. So it doesn't sound like much, but again, it's going to freeze up so fast that the roads are going to get kind of icy and slippery. The sidewalks, parking lot, same thing. What about to the north here, 2 to 4 inches because that cold air, it's cold enough to produce some lake effect snow. It's going to be up near the Hurley area, Presque Isle, Winchester, up into the UP of Michigan. Could pile up a little bit more, and that's why there is a winter weather advisory in effect for Iron County and up into the UP of Michigan overnight tonight. Here's our future track once again, showing the sun lasting for a little while longer, but then the clouds move in, and we'll see maybe a little bit of rain shower activity develop through the evening hours. Might mix with some snow by 10 o'clock, but definitely changing over to snow as that temperature really drops. And you'll notice here a thin band of snow that's moving on through that might produce most of that accumulation. And it's going to move out real quick. Look at this. By midnight, starting to move into the eastern part of the area in the early morning hours tomorrow. Maybe a couple of flurries left over as it gets really cold. But by daybreak tomorrow morning, it'll be dry again. The snow moving on off to the east, and there might be a few clouds early on Wednesday, but otherwise a bright day out there. We'll see the very chilly readings. And then Thursday morning, even with some clouds there, the temperature is probably going to drop into the single digits. So a cold start to Thursday, but then the sun comes out. We'll see a southwesterly wind developing on Thursday, and that's really going to begin a warm-up, a huge warm-up. Once again, by the weekend, it's going to feel like spring. We're probably talking about some temperatures in the 60s once again, especially by Sunday. It'll be well up into the 60s like today, even warmer. Well, what about the records? Well, with the snow coming in tonight, we might see another ½ inch or inch. And you notice, we've been tracking this all winter long so far. Are we going to have the least snow ever? No. Not going to happen. No. We've got 14.8 inches now. And if we get another inch tonight, it'll be 15.8 inches, which wouldn't even put us in the top 10 list for the least snowiest winters. Yeah, look at all these winters that we had less. A lot of people are saying, boy, I can't ever remember a winter like this. Well, it's because most of the winters recently, we've had lots of snow. In fact, our record snowiest winters have all been recently in the last 10 to 20 years, lots of them. And you might think, it doesn't seem like we've had a lot of heavy snow years, right? But generally speaking, it's been above average on snow in recent winters. Back in the day, I guess there's just maybe not a lot of people that can remember back that far, 100 years ago, right? Who was alive to see all these winters without much snow, but it did happen. Now the difference this winter is that it is also the warmest we've ever had, as well as having such little snowfall. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. The snow stats here for February, 3 inches, which is 8.8 inches below normal, and there's the winter total so far. Now that's just December, January, February. That's our official climatological winter. 26.2 inches below normal, and we've had 19 inches since the first flake fell in late October. If we didn't see another flake of snow for the rest of the season, that would break a record. But we're going to see some snow tonight. We'll probably see some coming up in March and maybe even in April, but almost 30 inches below normal. Where were we at last year? Look at that, 54.8 inches compared to 19 inches this year. And, people think, boy, I've never seen anything like this. Oh, it's so warm and hardly any snow. It's always like that. No. Last winter, you might remember, late February, we had, about 10 inches of snow. Then we had 24 inches in March. And then we had another 11 inches of snow in April. I mean, just remember, last winter, I remember in April, people were complaining like crazy. Oh, it's a winter. Oh, it's so much snow and it's so cold. And then look at that. This year, just the opposite. Amazing how things change from year to year, right? Well, also, we're tracking the potential for the warmest February ever. And the warmest happened back in 1998. That was also a strong El Nino year, 32.3. So far this year, 31.4. Now, with the warmth today, you'd think, boy, we're probably going to break that record. But remember, we still got Wednesday and Thursday that it'll be a little colder. So I think just judging by how the temperatures are going over the next couple of days, we'll probably end up around 31 degrees for the average temperature for February. So we're not going to break the record for the warmest February ever, even though it seems like it, doesn't it? Back in 1998, it was amazing that it was that warm in February. Well, what about the warmest winter? The warmest we've ever had, 26.9 degrees. I think that was the winter of 2015, 2016. I have to check again. But we're probably going to break that record by a degree and a half, maybe 2 degrees, by the end of this month, over the next couple of days. The warmest winter, that's for, again, December, January, February. So that is a record we're going to break. Pretty meager on snow this winter, and also the warmest we've ever had. And with the warm weather and hardly any snow on the ground, the fire danger is high. That's something I want to talk about a little bit. Very high fire danger here because it's just early. Normally it's early April or so that we have the snow gone, and there's a lot of old leaves and grass and stuff that is out there that can cause wildfires. So you got to be careful. Now, sure, tonight it's going to be snowing, and then it's going to be cold for a couple of days. But over the weekend, keep in mind, it's going to be breezy. That's one thing over the next few days. Definitely a breezy period of weather. Tomorrow will be windy. Thursday and Friday are going to be breezy. Saturday, we'll get a little break from the wind, but then Sunday and Monday are going to be breezy again. So remember that. You don't have to burn anything outside or cause any fires, that's for sure. But it does look like it's going to stay mild here through the second week of March. Our 8 to 14-day outlook shows, especially in the Northeast, well above normal. But here in our area, above normal, but I think we're going to have more days that'll be in the 40s, maybe some low 50s. So not all the record-breaking warmth, but just 5 degrees above normal, maybe 10 degrees above normal on some days. So it's going to definitely settle down from our record pace, and probably still cooler than average out in the west. And precipitation looks like more of that is going to shift to the east, and it might include our area. That's good news for not only the fire danger, but also for the drought situation that we have. Currently, we still have drought in the state, and maybe a couple of storms coming through the Midwest here through the middle of March could produce some rain or some wet snow, and we're not out of the winter season yet, but hopefully that will continue to increase, because the fact that we didn't have any snow in the winter, a lot of people are worried, is it going to start out dry? Is it going to be another drought year? Not necessarily. If it starts raining more in March and April and into the growing season, we'll be fine. So keep your fingers crossed that will happen. Hopefully no huge blizzards, but maybe some rain and a little bit of snow coming our way in March. Anyway, that's through the middle of March. The rain, or the storm track, might pick up a little bit here for our area. And I hope you enjoyed the stream here, a little extra on the weather. Hope you got everything prepared for tomorrow morning, because that's when it's going to be the coldest and the roads are going to be the most slippery. So have a good afternoon, everyone. That is it.